Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted to pose a few ideas, and it was more just, I guess, for commentary if that's acceptable. But essentially, I was a devout Christian for some part of my life. I was atheist, and now I am a part of a faith that I will not disclose at this moment.
You bet.
So essentially, I have studied quite a bit of philosophy. I've read quite a bit of philosophy, and I do
Good.
have respect for the different world religions, even if I'm not a part of them.
Right.
But the idea about atheism that I feel was unfairly represented was the fact that they don't necessarily have a faith in science, because the practice of science in and of itself provokes questioning what is around us and not relying too heavily on things. And in order for something to become a theory, there must be postulations and axioms over what will be considered evidence, what will be considered concrete, what will be considered technical over data analysis over time. And so the problem is that science is the idea of evolving our ideas over time. So therefore, it's not blind faith in something, it's more like a principle of questioning what is around you. And that can go with atheism, it can go with whatever you want to mix it into, as long as your philosophical axioms align in some sort of way. So atheists don't necessarily always have to be any one sort of way, just like you're arguing that Christians don't have to just be one sort of way, or Buddhists or anything of that.
Scientific knowledge is a beautiful form of knowledge, but it's very limited. It is limited to the repeatability of an experiment. If you're going to tell me that at Texas State something is true scientifically, if you cannot reproduce the experiment in London, England, in Calcutta, India, and get the same result, it is not science. Science is based on the repeatability of an experiment. And you better not just be able to do it at Texas State. You better be able to do it at UT, at the University of London, at the University of Calcutta. Science is based on a study of process, and it's based on the uniformity of nature.
It's also
That's
a
science.
system that allows for doubt, however, and so it allows for the build-up upon of different ideas and theories so that we can evolve our understanding over time. Mind you, even though I am not Christian, I understand more or less in some way where you're coming from, because you say that you respect science and you're also Christian.
Absolutely.
And that makes sense, because I believe in my own beliefs that are not Christian or atheist, but I also respect science heavily. So I'm just trying to understand better where another person is coming from.
You bet. Okay, I have a younger brother who's a research scientist. He transplants kidneys and livers at Duke University Hospital in North Carolina. You're right. He has a lot of theories about how to help the body not reject a new transplanted organ. But the majority of his theories, after they are tested, fail. So you see, those theories are not hard science. They are creative conjectures on my brother's point, who has a team of research scientists who he works with at Duke. When they can take a theory and repeat it over and over again, and it works, then they have science. So obviously, science requires great creativity. But when you're in the creativity stage, you better not make the mistake of saying, this is scientifically proven. Because it's not. It's a theory that my brother has, as he alters genes to try and help the body accept the new organ. So I'm just trying to clarify and define these words better.
It's been confirmed multiple times. A theory has to go under harsh peer review and criticism. I myself have written a scientific paper.
Good, beautiful. That's science. Now, history is different. History is not based on repeating an experiment in Calcutta, London, and San Marcos. Historical knowledge is based on the trustworthiness of eyewitness testimony. Somebody saw George Washington. Somebody saw Dr. Martin Luther King. Somebody saw Abraham Lincoln. Someone saw Joseph Stalin and Mao and Che Guevara. And they wrote down what they saw. And you study it here, and you have to pay money to study it in your history courses, in your history department. It also is a valid form of knowledge. But it's a form of knowledge that is radically different from scientific knowledge, which is based on the repeatability of an experiment. So, can I scientifically show you that Jesus is the truth? No. Can I historically give you evidence, not proof, evidence that Jesus Christ is the truth? Absolutely yes. What is that evidence? It's the historical record of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are eyewitness accounts of how did Jesus teach, how did Jesus treat people, how did he die. They record, as he's nailed to a wooden crossbeam, he prays, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But most importantly, 3 days after he dies, he rises from the dead, and Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 15 that over a period of 40 days, he appears to over 500 people who see him risen from the dead.
Is there known forensic evidence of that sort of thing that you're aware of?
No, I do not trust the Shroud of Turin. I would never base my life on a Shroud of Turin. So no, I do not have...
What does that mean? I'm sorry, I'm not...
The Shroud of Turin is a veil, a white linen that has a blood imprint of someone who suffered a horrible death. Okay, so no, I don't trust that, and no, I am not into... I can show you scientifically that Christ rose from the dead. I cannot scientifically show that. The same way, I cannot scientifically show you that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. I cannot scientifically show that. In fact, do you know that Lincoln's body was taken out of the grave twice? Because there was so much concern about what had really happened and some hanky-panky going on, and was it really his body? So there are difficult questions. That's why we got to be skeptical, and we got to keep on looking for the evidence. And I have found that if you'll be honest intellectually, if you'll read the Gospels with an open mind, you will never find anybody who has more evidence to support their reliability than Jesus Christ. And just listen to your classmates. You will hear some of the most cocky-yoon, ridiculous, irrational thinking that justifies them not believing in Christ. It's scary. Let me give you one quick example.
Okay, I was just...
All right? Hey man, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? No, I don't, Cliff. Fine. Why? Well, Cliff, really, it's not that I have studied the Gospels, found the historical evidence lacking, and therefore I just can't believe that Jesus rose from the dead. I say, okay, why? Why have you concluded that Jesus didn't rise from the dead? Now, there have been a few people, not many, but a few, who've been real honest. And they've said to me, because, Cliff, I know that if Jesus rose from the dead, I have to change my lifestyle. Particularly sexually. I have to change my lifestyle, and I don't want to do that. That's scary. That is really intellectually dishonest, and it's totally scary. And yet I appreciate those who are honest enough with me to say that. Stuart, what do you think?
On atheism still? I love the atheism question, because I agree in terms of their scientism. I know a lot of atheists who would just say I buy into scientism, which is everything is science. The only way you find truth is through science. So that's hard scientism. Soft scientism would be you can find truth mainly through science. Then there are atheists who are humanists. They would say, no, we're just humanists. Then there are atheists who are different politically in terms of political regimes. Then there are atheists who are different sects of Buddhism. So there's many different forms of atheism. My question oftentimes to an atheist is, do you believe that your life has a deep sense of meaning? Do you believe that your life really matters? If so, why or why not?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I'm not an atheist.
Oh, you're not an atheist. Your main point on atheism was that...
I was just saying that I felt as though the narrative that was being told about atheists was unfair and misrepresentational because, as you just said, there are many different types of atheists. There are many different types of atheists with different beliefs. And a majority of atheists that I've met and come across and seen different arguments from, because I myself value critical thinking, I have gone through looking at atheism in various different religions.
Sure, but so does all of...
To try...
Kepler, Newton, Galileo, on and on and on. all of the starters of modern day
I
science were
apologize,
Christians.
but I was answering your question.
So let me just insert small points because you were reiterating, and you were
Small
reiterating
points
because I
which
asked the question. I
have not
realized,
had the chance
but let me just
get out what I am saying
okay,
and
let's
finish my conclusion.
Okay, so
I can wrap it up for you. If you
well, I had asked a question. You didn't answer that first one.
I was trying to answer.
Okay, so
what
you believe
I
your
asked.
life has tremendous meaning and purpose, that it matters?
Yes, but I can't answer that through the lens of an atheist because I am not atheist nor am I Christian.
So why do you believe it? That your life really matters?
I will not disclose those sorts of things. I believe personally and culturally that religion is a personal matter to be discussed. I'm simply posing and defending that which I feel is misrepresented.
And I would just say what you misrepresented, which I totally get. I actually agree with you in terms of the misrepresentation of it. Religion, I would be a total fool to be out here trying to take the side of religion over science. I take science over religion 10 times out of 10 every single day. I'd be out here. So we're not arguing. See, oftentimes we were just at University of Texas 2 weeks ago, and I had to lay this out pretty clearly for students eventually, and they started to get it. But it's so ingrained in college students and really people of any age that it's kind of scary. People think that we're coming out here and that Christians or Buddhists or other people are just debating religion. No, we're not just debating religion. I don't even know how you do that because religion fails over and over again. Religion oftentimes has a lot to do with different forms of fake science, different forms of, again, back to the original question of lightning is somehow judging us. Stupidity. Religion equates stupidity. Jesus Christ, as a historical figure, what he came to do, and whether he lived, whether his claims were real, whether his character was just and all good, and then actually whether he rose from the dead or not, that's an entirely different question from just a man-made religion.